Hey guys, Mr. V here. Welcome to the first of probably 2 lessons about working with text. And today what I want to show you guys is how to work with something called layer styles. That's right. So layer styles are going to change your life. So check this out. I've got some text here that says happy holidays. And so I've taken my T tool and already typed that out, but I'm going to go ahead and highlight that again. So remember, as I've always said, before you change text, you have to highlight it first, whether you want to change the size, the font, or the color. And that's exactly what I want to do today. So I'm going to highlight this. And so if you go up to the top, you'll see basically in here at the top is where you can change the font and the size. And it's basically the exact same way you would like on a Google Doc. So all of that stuff would be up here on the top whenever you highlight your text. So I want to try to do something a little more kind of like cursive-y, curly, kind of looking for like the holidays. And of course, I know I could go and download a font, but I'm just going to use something kind of simple here that I already had. And this one looks pretty cool, kind of an old-fashioned looking kind of a font. And I think I want to change the color, maybe something kind of purplish or bluish, something kind of bright that will kind of match the background here. And that looks pretty cool just to start out with at least. And I think what I want to do is break this in half. So I'm going to hit return right after the word happy and get this to kind of go on the side there. Now, I have to highlight this like I said before, and there's something really cool here. You're going to see something called over here on the side. It's going to be called your character styles. If you don't see that right here on the side, you want to go up to view, and go to window, and you're going to check mark paragraph. Okay, and so paragraph, actually not paragraph, but paragraph styles. Okay, so paragraph styles is where we can come in here. Actually, no, I think I was right. It was under paragraph. So if you look under here under paragraph, you'll see something where it has like two little A's with like this little up and down arrow. Well, that is, I believe, what you call your leading. If you remember, we talked about leading and kerning, and we want to change the space in between the two lines of text. So if you click and drag from the left to the right, you see how if I click right on those two A's and then I click and drag, it will change those numbers, and it's also changing how far up and down the lines of text are from each other. So I want to make them go a little bit closer together just like that. And that looks pretty good. And I think what I want to do is come over to my move tool, and then I'm going to do Command T so that I can actually bring those up really big. I'm going to transform them and size them to where they kind of match this wreath here. So that looks pretty good to me. I'm going to hit return to place that, and that's looking really good. So now is where we get into the layer styles. So layer styles is something that you can use basically on any kind of an element. It doesn't have to be text. It could literally be anything. I could even do layer styles on this wreath back here. So if you have an element, you can apply layer styles. So what are layer styles? Okay, layer styles are basically, I can do this in two different ways. I can either double click right here in the gray space where there's no text, or I can just go down to the bottom for whatever layer I'm on and click this little FX, and that's short for like effects. So if you click that, it will give you like these drop down menu list, and I can just choose the first one here. But if I click cancel and just double click the gray area out here, you'll see it's the same thing. And you get this box and it says layer style. And layer styles is what I was telling you guys is so awesome. So over here on the side, we've got all these little check boxes and all of these different things. You can see there's bevel and emboss, there's stroke, inner shadow, inner glow, color overlay, pattern overlay, outer glow, and drop shadow. So guys, I'm going to let you guys kind of discover these for yourselves. But I'm just going to show you like 3 of these, and you can mess around with the rest of them for yourself. So the ones that I like to do the most are stroke and drop shadow and color overlay. And color overlay is basically the same as choosing a color when you're like, say for instance, if you're working with text, you can choose your color of what you want that to be, but it's kind of the same thing. You can actually override the color and choose a new color with color overlay. But since I've already picked my purple color for my text, I'm going to leave that one alone. And I want to show you guys first how to do a stroke. So you have to basically check that on with the little check box right there, but you also have to click on the word stroke to actually see the different sliders and settings that you can use for that. So under stroke, stroke is basically another word for an outline. So if you want to give an element or some text an outline, you're going to use the stroke. So stroke is pretty cool because you can choose if you want your stroke to be on the inside or the outside or the center. And so if we bring up our size, you can see it's making the stroke like really big, or the outline really big. And so right now that's set to outside. If I choose inside, you can see that's going to put the stroke on the inside. Okay, see how that's doing that right there? All right, so that's pretty cool. I like to do the outside because you can kind of see it really well if it's on the outside. I'm going to do a stroke that's kind of not too big but not too small. I still want to be able to see it, and this is kind of where I like to change the color, and the color is right here on this little box. And let's say maybe we go with a stroke that's kind of like, I don't know, maybe we could do white. That looks pretty good right there. And you can just play around with the, with the different ways. Maybe we could actually reverse this. So what I could do is go back to my T tool, highlight the text here, and let's maybe go with a white text. And then we can go back to our effects and change the stroke to be maybe like that purple color. So I just kind of reversed what I did, and that looks pretty good there. Maybe kind of a purplish blue. You just play around with it, see what you like, okay? And then I'm going to go down here to drop shadow, and drop shadow is really cool because it basically does exactly what it sounds like. It'll give you a shadow that kind of appears at the bottom. You've got some different settings. You can choose the opacity, which is how how strong the shadow is. So I'm going to bring mine all the way up to 100, and then you can also choose the distance. So that's the distance at how far that shadow appears from your text. And like I said, it doesn't have to be text. You can apply these to any kind of an element. And then there's the spread, which if you wanted your shadow basically to not be blurry, you could put like the spread all the way up to 100, and then you can also change the size. So I could bring the size all the way down, and I could bring the distance, and you see how that's changing basically the way my shadow looks. Actually, I think I want my shadow to be a little blurry, because to me blurry shadows look kind of real. And we'll bring up the size there, and we'll bring the distance so that it's not too far away, and then we'll bring down the opacity, kind of like that. So if I check this on and off, you see the difference there. So it really adds depth and dimension. And if I bring my text up here to the top, you can kind of see how that works. So guys, that's really cool. I think it's just a really good way to add some dimension to your text. You can play around with it, make it look however you want to. If you have any questions, let me know. Next lesson, we'll be getting into some other stuff with the text, but I think layer styles will help you because layer styles can be for text or elements. So right now, before we really get into working with text, I think this is a great lesson because you can apply layer styles to both text and some of the elements you're working with. If you have any question, guys, just let me know. God bless.